Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and United into Stormwind has changed things up a lot in Standard. We've talked a lot about it and how it's, you know, pretty insane, but what we haven't really talked about yet, and we're going to talk about today, is Wild. And Wild, after playing it the last few days, mainly for achievement hunting, I can absolutely say Wild is not ever going to be the same unless something drastic happens. Wild is in this position right now where it's just so broken. It's so past the point of broken, and it's not just one deck now. Usually we've talked about like a Stealer of Souls thing, Hysteria, Snip Snap, whatever. No, it's just everything. It feels like everything, but only a few things, if that makes any sense. So before we get into the specifics of what's broken about Wild right now and like how this is so different from any other time, I just want to go into the history of Wild and how we got to this point. So, you know, Wild was introduced, I believe, during the Old Gods expansion. Basically a way for Blizzard just to be able to open up design space. They can, you know, they can put power creep cards or whatever into Wild and, you know, open up design space for Standard and make things more interesting. So you don't see Dr. Boom on turn 7 every time was the example. And that, yeah, imagine playing that card in Wild today. And the format for the first year or so was kind of, you know, not really balanced or anything. They just kind of left it alone. But as time went on, they started actively balancing it. It wasn't as often as Standard, but you would see Wild specific balance changes, whether it was Naga, Snip Snap, Aviana, Blood Bloom, the Mage Quest. There was multiple nerfs for Wild specifically, but that all changed last year. Last year, they kind of took a step away from balancing Wild. The last Wild-centric nerf we have had was Dark Lair. Last summer, went from 3 to 2 mana, and this was made specifically with Wild in mind, despite the fact it was a Standard card. And two other changes we saw after that was Hysteria and Stealer of Souls, but those were more of the emergency situation, not so much for balancing the format, more of like, oh god, this probably is not a good idea. Let's just obliterate this and leave the same things that have been busted forever there. Mainly Dark Lair Warlock. I'll highlight this tweet from Memnarch. He's a high legend Wild player, reflecting that, you know, Wild has basically seen Dark Lair be the top tier deck the entire time. And Igzar himself has been asked a lot about Wild in recent AMAs. He does the weekly AMAs, and I'm not going to quote any direct tweet. I've read multiple AMAs where he's answered this question multiple times, but their general philosophy now with Wild is that they want Wild to be a place where you can play your decks of old, where they do not want to nerf a Wild deck, even if it's been the top deck for a long time, just for the sake of changing up the meta, and they only nerf decks that are considered like a high power level outlier card, right? Or deck, which Dark Lair effectively has been for a year, as I mentioned with the Memnarch tweet. But yeah, we're at United in Stormwind now, and this tweet, I put this out today. This is not a meme. This is not me being ironic, not me trying to be a troll. This is just the truth. Reno Jackson is too slow for the format now. Reno Jackson decks are too slow because of the quest lines. The quest lines have completely obliterated the concept of any late game strategy in Wild. It is impossible for a late game strategy. I also tweeted this out, that I hadn't seen 10 mana in like, what, 2 days. It's a bit of an exaggeration. Igzar called me out saying, I have a hard time believing in this. I have the receipts. I showed 4 screenshots of games where I think I had like 2 games that went to turn 10, because it just doesn't happen. Especially in Wild, it's almost impossible because particular 2 quest lines, the Hunter quest line and the Warlock quest line. The Hunter quest line is less egregious, but still pretty much egregious. So imagine you're facing Raza Priest, right? You're facing Raza Priest, but they always have Raza Anduin online on turn 5. That's the Hunter deck in Wild. You play Odd Hunter, and you just play every 1 mana cheap spell, which there's a ton of, and there's great ones like the Twin spell, literally activates 1 activation on the quest by itself, and you're basically guaranteed your quest reward on turn 5, and then you're dealing 3 damage a turn. You can play an automaton, you deal 6 damage a hit. Basically you're killing everything. You're gonna kill every deck in the game. You don't even need that good a draw in the deck because you're gonna kill your opponent on turn 5, turn 6. And again, Reno's kind of irrelevant for that situation, but it can, you can play Reno maybe and they run out of stuff and you can get there. Maybe you can out armor it. But then the problem is you have the Warlock questline, which is tier S. This is the most broken interaction in WoW, I think, probably ever now. We're at the point where I think this might be the most powerful deck in WoW ever. It's better than, in my opinion, a Snip Warlock. And the reason is turn 4 quest completion with the Warlock quest is guaranteed. It's literally pretty much guaranteed. I played this to get this achievement done the other night. I was playing off stream and I did not have a single game where I did not complete the quest by turn 4. And most times I would complete it by turn 3. It was quite often I completed by turn 3 because you have Crystallizer. Alone Crystallizer is 1 mana, you deal 5 damage to yourself and you gain 5 armor. That's basically a proc right away. You raise Dead It, you have 2 procs, and then you play Dark Glare with a Cobalt Librarian, a Flame Imp, whatever. It's just done. It's done. You have Spirit Bomb, 1 mana deal 4. The quest is unbelievably easy to complete. And then on turn 5, you play a reward, and then their opponent's dead. They cannot beat you. You're going to deal an infinite amount of damage because you have cards like Unlicensed Apothecary. You play it, any minion you summon deals 5 damage a proc. Nothing can out armor that, outlive that. It's impossible. And basically, you're always having it active on turn 5. Your opponent's dead. Again, Reno is useless. So basically, the games in Wild are hyper aggro or these quest lines. That's it. And there's even like the underlying problem of like, just say the warrior quest line. I was playing that for this achievement, the attack with pirates. I put this quest line into pirate warrior. Odd warrior can't beat me. Odd warrior, like the ultimate like grind out aggro deck, can't beat me. Literally this 1 card alone, this is possible. I get a weapon every turn, I get damage every turn, I get a pirate. I literally had odd warriors conceding on turn 1 against me, and the ones that didn't, they just all died. They could brawl, they could clear, it doesn't matter. I just win. And it's not like this questline is a detriment to pirate warrior because it gets you Ankar. So that questline proc is so good. And that's another thing about these quest lines is, unlike prior quests in the game, there's not really a downside to playing it. It used to be you gave up a card, you had to build your deck around things. These quest lines, not nearly as much, and they replenish you with the card typically in tempo. They're like beneficial to play the quest oftentimes. Like with the pirate warrior quest, I rarely played my reward, but just getting Ankar and those damage things was good enough. It's like the Demon Hunter quest line in standard, where you don't even play the Demon Hunter reward, you just take the first 2 discounts and win with Il'gynoth. So point I'm getting at is the deck of olds thing. That's the thing that Ixar has stated multiple times. They want you to play your deck of old and wild. How can you do that? How can I play a classic control deck or a mid-range deck or anything like this unless I'm willing to lose like what 80% of my games? It's impossible. And if they want Wild to be a place where you can do that, they need to balance it. And they've basically neglected the format for a year, and they power crept the game so much now in standard that Wild is just this unrecognizable turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 endgame strategy. It's a turn 5 format. You win or lose the game by turn 5 and 6. And that's not even, I didn't even mention like the whole mage strategy where they just play apprentice and OTK you by turns 4, 5, and 6 with Incanter's Flow and Infinite Ignites or Mazaki or whatever, because you now have the spell that discounts a fire spell, so you can play Apprentice and get a Reflection for almost 0 mana and kill your opponent. Like, if I don't kill a mage by turn 6, I'm dying to an OTK, uninteractable OTK on turn 6. With no setup. They don't even need Incanters for that, by the way. It's just like Wild is so far beyond Void Caller being a card where I'm like, oh man, they need to address Void Caller because they cheat out a Void Lord. Nobody cares about a 9-mana taunt being cheated out on turn 4 anymore. It's irrelevant. That's how far gone Wild is. So I don't think Wild could realistically be a playable, enjoyable format other than the solitaire win the game on turn 5 decks, period, ever again, unless there's drastic changes. There needs to be an actual overhaul of Wild in terms of balance. Like, we need to see multiple cards for multiple classes addressed. If we ever want Wild to be a realistic format, because right now it's just not a format anymore. It's just Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't feel like Hearthstone anymore. It feels like every deck is like Exodia Mage, except you don't have much of a setup and it happens on turn 4, 5, and 6 now. And I don't know. I thought Wild was a really fun place to play for a very long time. And when they did actively somewhat balance it, it wasn't that bad. But now that they've let it go for a full year, it's really let go. And it's just, like I said, unrecognizable, not fun. And I really hope that they consider Wild to be a real format at some point and give it a little bit of care, a little bit of love, because I don't know how you fix this problem with, like, well, you gonna ban the quest lines? Are you gonna ban Dark Lair? Like, there's so many problems now. It's not just Dark Lair. There's so many underlying problems, in particular with the quest lines, as well as some mana cheat issues. But I don't know. I don't know where we go from here with Wild. It's in terms of trying to play and win realistically, you just can't play really kind of fun, cool Wild decks anymore. It's just whatever these decks are. So let me know in the comments below how you're feeling if you're playing Wild, about the whole meta. I don't even know what to say anymore. I just think Blizzard needs to treat it like a real format. Do something, or at least consult people that know about the format and have them help them figure out what to do, because they don't seem to want to do anything about it. But I do know a lot of Wild players that would love to see it kind of return to a playable format. It would be nice. So again, let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.